you sell that? You get to sell the whole thing on YouTube?
Okay, Rob Pattinson. Okay, we'll begin the questioning as soon as you settled in. Who's going? Here we go. Good morning.
Morning.
Bruce, go.
Hi, Bruce Kirkland here from the Toronto Sun. Good to see you again.
You too.
Okay, now you have a sense of completion. You have 5 films out of 4 books. I'm curious if now you are allowing yourself any perspective on what it all means. Because clearly, 13-year-old girls have their own unique perceptions of what all of this means to them. And I'm curious, as a witness to the entire spectacle of this franchise, if you're now allowing yourself a little analytical moment to see the value of the entire, again, word franchise.
It's funny. People were asking me how I'd feel when it all ends on the first movie, and I don't think I've ever felt more completely bewildered, like knowing that I only have a month of Twilight stuff left to do. I don't know. I've said since I think the second one, it's going to take 10 years to really settle in my brain. So I'm 4 years into it. But yeah, I don't think there is any analysis. I don't think anyone knows why people like it. I don't think even the fans know why they connect to it in the way they do. It's a visceral thing. It's a Stephanie. I don't even know if Stephanie could tell you why she was so fixated on this very, very contained story, and kind of obsessive characters. I don't think anyone. It's just a kind of anomaly. It's a terrible answer. I don't know.
So Robert, if you could go back in time, this is sort of a corollary to his question, is when you go back 5 years, what kind of advice would you give yourself then that would maybe help prepare you for what happened, in the ensuing 5 years?
Start drinking vodka instead of beer. And try and get a 6-pack as early as possible. And you'll be a much more successful actor. I don't know. No, not really. I mean, yeah, it's kind of fun to deal with the terror and the kind of huge highs and lows of things. I'd never known that things. It was still getting massive surprises every time you have any kind of Twilight-related event or anything. I still remember, I think it was the 3rd movie where we went to Munich, and the entire Olympic Stadium was filled with fans, and just to walk in there and do nothing. I mean, literally, it was supposed to be a Q&A, but when me, Kristen, and Taylor just stood in the middle of the Olympic Stadium with 30,000 people just screaming. Just stood there like, for 15 minutes, and it's just, I mean, it's absolutely bizarre. Like, there's no way you can ever compute it.
Hi, Rob.
Hey.
This film's keyword theme is forever. When you had forever, what things come up your head, and do you find what is forever and what thing is forever?
Death? No. What is forever? God, I don't know. Just hope, I guess. That's kind of a difficult question. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I mean, what in terms of what? Yeah. I think. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think lots of things.
have Robert over here.
Sorry.
You talk two things. Could you talk a little bit? What was your last scene? What was your last moment of being Edward Cullen? And also, what's been your strangest fan encounter besides the Olympic Stadium?
What was my last scene?
Stephanie said it was on a beach.
Yeah.
And how did you feel when you wrapped playing with Robert?
I mean, it was hilarious considering we've spent the entire series filming in the most miserable conditions, and then we end on the beach in the Caribbean for like 2 days in the sea. Yeah, but it was fun. I mean, we literally did the last shot as the sun was coming up in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. That was kind of, yeah, it was a nice way to end it, but because they were considering shooting it in the sea in Vancouver, so like, which would not have worked at all. And so, what was the other question?
Were you sad to let him go?
Yeah, it was very, very strange. It was kind of because we were still kind of frustrated. I was still the same frustration with trying to play it like the entire way through. I mean, right up until the last shot. It's a strange part. Because you, on one hand, have a lot of the audience project their idea of Edward onto him without, it doesn't matter what he is. It's like they want him to be a certain way, and then my kind of instincts to try and play it is to try and find the fallibility in him and the weaknesses, and so it's kind of. You're trying to play both these things at the same time, and it becomes very strange. I mean, you kind of because you're trying to play someone who's seen by a lot of people as being like this perfect thing, but what is that? I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. And so you're trying to play an archetype on one hand and then a character on the other, and so I kind of felt insanely frustrated right up until the last shot, and then it ended. So yeah.
Robert, looking back, whether this is a physical thing or an emotional thing, what was the most difficult thing to leave behind about the Edward character, and what was the best thing to leave behind, or glad to leave behind?
I think that's the thing just in general about doing any kind of series, especially when the characters remain the same, just that you can go back and try and improve whatever you did in the last movie, which never happens. Just kind of that tone and that work ethic is nice. It's quite you feel quite strangely secure, and I mean it's the opposite of how you're supposed to feel doing a movie. You're supposed to feel totally foreign every single time, but kind of going back for another go at it is kind of, it's good on one hand and it is also bad on another hand, because your ideas dry up sometimes, and also you get lazy sometimes because you're just you're around the same people. So that was the good thing about having different directors. So you kind of had to stay a little bit on your toes. What's the worst thing? Just like playing a part where you can't get hurt and you can't die, because there's no framework to it's kind of the possibilities. There's too many possibilities if you can't die. There's always if you're playing a normal human being, there's always that. Yeah, I think that's probably.
Hi,
Okay.
This franchise has obviously opened a lot of doors for you. How do you see that impacting your career 10, 15 years down the road?
I don't know. I mean, it's you kind of. I mean, people ask me if I'm afraid of getting typecast and stuff, but it's like you can't be afraid of it. I mean, it's really not up to you. I mean, I'm getting other parts that aren't vampires or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know if people will, accept me in them or whatever. I mean, there's really nothing to be afraid of. But yeah, in 15 years, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know how people will remember this series at all. I mean, it's crazy how intense people are. The fan base is still 5 years on, so I don't know how long it's going to last. But it would be insane if there was still the same tenacity in 15 years.
Hi, Rob. I was wondering, is there any moment in particular, either during filming, meeting new cast members, or anything in the whole Twilight experience that you would like to relive, and why?
What I like to relive. I mean, the whole first movie was pretty fun. It was kind of like, I've never really done a movie like it when there's such a big cast of people who are round about the same age, and everyone didn't really know what was going to happen with the movie, but it was a good energy. There was something which people were kind of like fighting for in a way. They wanted it to be something special. Because also none of us were really known then as well. So it felt like a big deal at the time. And it was exciting. It was really exciting, the first one. And the whole year afterwards, it was an exciting year.
Hi Rob, this franchise has been a real once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you and gives you lots of global success and everything else. Are you concerned at all about maintaining that same level of success as you go forward in your career?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of. I think, if I could get any semblance of, it's not really anonymity. I think if I had a little bit more control over my public image, I guess that would be nice. But yeah, God, sorry, my brain is blanking. What was the question again?
Are you concerned about maintaining the same level of success? Obviously, this is such a huge franchise.
No. I mean, I think it's impossible for one thing. I don't think anyone can do that, apart from Denzel Washington. I don't know why he's done something. Yeah, it's like I don't really like. It's a strange place where the film industry's at, where you can't, you either, I guess you could just play superhero after superhero, but that seems to be the only guaranteed big money thing. And I don't know, it's like, it's not necessarily that satisfying getting kind of monetary success, but sometimes it keeps the door open to make what you want to make. But other times you could make 5 massive hits in a row and still not get cast by the directors who you want to work with doing little movies. There's no guarantees. So I'm trying to kind of sign up and do movies that I'll be proud of if it's my last one. That's kind of how I think about it.
Rob, over here on the back. You said earlier when someone asked you what your perspective on this was, you said it's going to take about 10 years. You really don't know why people connected with it or what the connection is. I have a feeling you know that now. But I have a 2-part question for you. At the end of the day, are you glad it's over?
In some ways.
And what would that be?
Well, after the first one, when something becomes a big, when something's, as soon as people start referring to something as a franchise is a Burger King or a Subway. It's not a movie. And people start to say it. Generally, the people who are making money off it refer to it as a franchise. I guess they love it when something's become a franchise. But as an actor in it, I think it's scary. You really feel like you have no control. It's a huge juggernaut, especially when something becomes part of the kind of cultural landscape in a way as well. It's really scary because you get trapped and you can't, you get scared of changing, which is the worst thing that can happen if you want to be any kind of artist.
Hi, the second part of the question is, are you more famous in the UK than you are here? And if so, how?
I don't know actually. I kind of. I think I used to be able to be in England and just be fine. No one had any idea that it came later in England. Now it's kind of relatively similar. I get a lot more abuse in England. What's that?
How do you mean?
I think that's just the kind of general English attitude. I did the same thing to famous people. Just as your instinct.
Hi, Robert. You really looked like a natural stepping into that father role of the made. What do you attribute that to, and how was that being a dad on screen?
I don't know. I just quite like working with kids and stuff. I like working with kids and I like working with animals, which is like what everybody says you shouldn't do. It makes you feel like you're not acting. I mean, as soon as you have someone who's just providing stuff to react to, yeah, especially like working with a baby and everything, it's kind of, it's great. Every time they bring it, I would say put a baby in every scene. So you can put a dog in a scene, everyone's going to be better, like guaranteed. And if they're not better, just shoot the dog. It's kind of. But yeah, no, it was fun. They got some good baby actors.
And by shoot the dog.
Either way, yeah.
Hi, Rob. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the vampires in this film because there's so many more, and the lore is much more present than in some of the past films, which focus more on relationship. Which new character did you like, or what powers did you enjoy seeing, and also what's your favorite vampire movie? Just are you a fan too? Do you watch True Blood, or what are you interested in as far as vampires now that you've played one?
In terms of, I don't know. I like Blade. I really like Blade. And I wish people would make. I mean, I was talking about it the other day about making hard R-rated fantasy movies again. Like, it's completely irrelevant, but people should do that more. Who is my favorite character out of the new ones? I'm like just going to be saying the actors. I like Benjamin, Rami plays him, mainly because he's a great actor, and he only had a couple of scenes in it, but kind of just like when it was nice having actors who came in who were really, really enthusiastic and kind of thinking like, this is a big deal being in like a Twilight movie, and like I've got these 5 lines and I'm going to like own them. And they got some. Like Bill got some great people. Who else did I like? God, I'm terrible with names. What was the other part of the question, so I can save myself?
Your favorite movies, or if you're a fan of vampires, if you're watching something now.
Yeah, I would. I haven't seen that many vampire things. Like, it's a kind of strange. It's always been strange to me to be like, someone can say they're like a vampire fan, but I don't know.
You're a non-fan.
Well, I mean, I'm not a non-fan, but I mean, literally, it's just such an unusual thing to be a. I don't know. It's like people are like, I love zombie movies. I just love them. They're my favorite. It's more of a kind of psychological problem than being an actual fan.
It's going to be our last question.
It's been crazy for years for you and Kristen and Taylor. I'm wondering, do you remember back in 2008 the first time you met Kristen and the first time you met Taylor? And I don't want to throw Taylor under the bus, but he was just in here and he said he can't remember meeting you.
Yeah, I can't remember reading him either. No, I can. When did I meet Taylor? I met him on the movie, I think. And he was wearing his wig and stuff. But when did I meet Kristen? I met Kristen at the audition. Yeah. What was the other part of the question, sorry?
Your first impressions, thinking back to 4 years when you were first meeting them and now knowing them so well now, were they right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit. I'm still just trying to come to terms with acknowledging being an actor at all. I mean, it reminded me a little bit, even with Taylor, even though he was like 15 when I met him. When I did Harry Potter, I remember looking at Dan, Rupert, and Emma, and being like, well, those guys are actors, and they're like kind of I was like starstruck by them. I was starstruck by those guys when I met them, even though I'd only seen Kristen in a few things. It's kind of, I've always sort of had this sort of separation. It's funny to kind of see people get humanized, because with Dan, Rupert, and Emma, I still see them as kind of. I mean, I was with them for 11 months. I still see them as like massively famous like people. And it's strange to see, to have gone through the same experience with Taylor and Kristen as well. Just kind of, it's massive, and to see people retain their sanity as much as possible. And I mean, because I've seen a lot of other people have minor amounts of fame and just lose their mind completely. But then, like after a casting announcement, let alone having done the movie. And it's kind of amazing to see that people manage to maintain.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hate to ask you, but kill me. Ready for the storm.
So Rob, team Obama or team Obama?
Thanks, Rob.